Hi class, it's your favorite English teacher again. So we just finished Tiger Lily. What did you think? Did you like it? I really enjoyed this book. I loved the ending. It felt complete and I felt really satisfied at the end of this book. I really enjoyed it. So we are now going to do our final project and I'm going to discuss that with you within this video. But first we're going to analyze some of the characters within Tiger Lily and A Study in Charlotte. So there were some really good characters in Tiger Lily. Of course, Tiger Lily herself was a strong female character. She was not portrayed as perfect, but her flaws also were some of her strengths. And I really enjoyed how deep they got into the layers of Tiger Lily, how deep the author Jodi Lynn Anderson developed Tiger Lily. And I liked to see her perseverance through all that she'd gone through. Peter Pan as well was much more layered than I had ever seen him portrayed before. Even in the movie Hook, I love the movie Hook, but that's the best interpretation of the Peter Pan character because he was much more layered than I had seen before I read this book. But I enjoyed seeing the younger version of Peter Pan, the version that was still youthful and still trying to figure out what he really wanted and if he was really happy with where he was in Neverland. Even Captain Hook and Smee took a completely different turn within this book. They weren't the major characters that I thought they were going to be. They definitely played a role, but they were almost sympathetic, but yet they had some really dark things about them that added some much needed layers to the story of Peter Pan and Captain Hook, because whenever I watch the movie, I'm like, why do they hate each other so much? And so I liked how that answered that question. One of my favorite characters, though, was TikTok. And I thought it was very well done how an LGBTQ character was introduced into this book. It didn't feel like there was any malice towards that minority. He just was who he was. And I appreciated how authentic TikTok was. And it really saddened me when he fell to the pressure of fitting in. But I can also understand that because we have all been faced with trying to fit in into the mainstream, whether it's been in high school, elementary school, within our family. We've all been faced with having to do that. And unfortunately, TikTok making that decision is ultimately what led him to being suicidal and dealing with major depression. And I was so sad when that character chose the path that he did that ended his life. And I really appreciated the discussions we had in our class about that and how honest you all were with that subject matter, because it's something that we all face and it's affected all of us in one way or another. And so I appreciated how that was introduced and discussed within this book. My other favorite character was Pine Sap. His genuine love for Tiger Lily was felt throughout the book. And I was really happy when in the end that their love was able to blossom and develop into something that was satisfying for both of them and led them both to have a very happy life together. I really appreciated that. But there were some really good characters in Tiger Lily. I want you to be thinking about who your favorite character was and how the author, Jodi Lynn Anderson, was able to develop that character and give them layers. And by layers, that means giving them human traits. We're all not one thing or another thing. We all have a lot of things within us. And a really well-written book has characters that have those different layers just like we do as people. A Study in Charlotte also had some really good characters. We've already discussed a lot of the characters in this book when we read this book. Of course, Sherlock Holmes and Jamie Watson. I really liked Jamie Watson. He was my favorite character within the book. I liked how real he was, and him and Charlotte were a good balance within their personalities. They both brought out good things in each other, but just like in real life, they also sometimes brought out bad characteristics in within each other. And I think that is something that we all deal with within our friend group or within our family. So the Study in Charlotte had some really good layered characters as well. So be thinking about your favorite ones from that. And now I'm going to get into what we're going to be doing for our final project. So the end of unit project is creating your own fiction reimagined. So as we've been reading the book, we've done some quick writes that have prepared us for this kind of project. So you've already chosen your favorite fairy tale when you did the quick write last time. You aren't stuck with that. If there is a different fairy tale you want to explore, that's totally fine, but you need to make your decision at the end, by the end of class today. Actually at the beginning, so that the whole entire class period, then you can be working on this, because this is what we're going to be doing during this whole class period, and we're going to be working on this throughout the next week in class. So don't panic when you see all the steps. We're not going to be doing them all at one time. I'm just letting you know what they all are up front so that you have all of the answers in front of you. So step one, you need to choose a story or a fairy tale that you would like to reimagine. It can be any story you want. It can, as there does need to be somewhat of a general knowledge of the story. And if I don't know it, then you need to supply me with the original material. So if it's like a family story that came from Holland, or, something that maybe is from a different country, that's great. But just let me know the original source material so that I can compare it accurately. I'm pretty sure my email just came up. So you need to do that first. You need to do that within the first few minutes after watching this video. Choose a story or a fairy tale. Then you will list the characters that you're familiar with within that story. So you need to have a list of the characters so that you can then reimagine it. Now you get to make the decision whether you are going to do like Tiger Lily, where you develop the characters that are already there, or if you want to do like in Charlotte, then you can tell a retelling, but maybe in future generations or in the past generations. So it's your decision, but I need a list of the characters that you will be using. Next is you need to create a storyboard or an outline of the plot of your story. So you can do a comic strip, the storyboards, you can just do a plot outline, you can do some of the plot circles that we've done in class before, with your main idea in the middle and then other little sub ideas that are going to be happening within your story. Now, you need to write your first draft after that. It needs to be at least 8 pages long. So as you're creating your storyboard, keep in mind that this needs to be a fairly substantial story. It's not, of course, going to be a 300-page book, but it needs to have enough of a story and plot and ability to develop the characters. I'm going to guess that a lot of you get a lot more than 8 pages. That's the bare minimum I want it to be, because a really good story that you're invested in, where you have really good characters, is of course going to be longer than 8 stories. Or 8 pages, excuse me. So make sure that you keep in mind that this does have to be a substantial writing exercise. That's okay, because we are going to take at least the next week to do this. We're going to be working in class on it. We're going to be using peers. We're going to be doing all sorts of great things to make sure that your story is the best that it can possibly be. Step 5 is peer review. We're going to be getting into small groups or pairs and peer reviewing each other's first drafts. But that's not going to be for a little bit. And then you will need to finish your final draft, take those reviews. You are also going to be submitting your first draft to me, that I will help you proofread that and make sure that it's what it needs to be. And then you'll finalize that, all those changes within your final draft. And then the final step is that the point of stories is to share them. And so we are going to be getting into smaller groups and be reading our stories aloud to our peers, and that's going to be so much fun. I'm really excited about that. So this seems like a lot. It is a lot, but we're all going to be working on it in class together, and there will be so much time for you to be able to do this. But today you are watching this at the beginning of class, and I expect to have quite a bit of work done by the end of class. The things that are due today are steps 1, 2, and 3 are all due today. They need to be turned into the basket by the end of the day. There's not anything you will need to be printing. Everything is going to be done by hand for these first 3 steps. So get going on that. It's going to be a really fun project. Please let your imagination roll. You can go in so many directions with this. Please don't feel inhibited in any way. I want you to completely reimagine your story and write something that you feel confident about and that you're excited about. And I'm really looking forward to reading all of your stories as we conclude this unit.